Welcome back to another episode of Shit That's Just Life podcast with your favorite life coach, me, Cecile. Today, we're diving into a powerful conversation about a kind of grief that isn't often talked about: the pain of losing people who are still alive. I'm joined today by author Tasha Nicholson to explore the heart behind the book Grieving the Living. Let's get into it.
Okay. So it's funny you say that because I don't think it's like stuff that I don't think you have to have the brain like, oh, I can't afford it. You just like, this is where I want to be. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get here, but this is where I want to be, you know? And baby girl, I would go to places like a bar or a lounge that I knew was expensive, or it looks expensive. Really, it's just the aesthetics. The aesthetics make it
Right.
look expensive.
Exactly.
So then you menu. You see what you can and cannot afford. That's what I did. I was like, okay, I can afford a few drinks.
Water
I
with
don't know
living,
about
please.
okay, I don't know about a drink and an appetizer, but I can get the drink. Got the drink, and then typically someone else at the bar offered the drink because hey, you guys want a drink, and that's kind of how I met my person. I got a drink. I stayed at the bar for a little while. We'll let the people come rolling in. The black folks came in late, so of course he came in late, but he came. And then once they start rolling in, they start being generous with their money, and they're like, "Hey, we'll buy everybody a little drink." So I got an extra drink, and I got a partner. So
Yeah, that is true. Like being a woman, especially if you even have cute, really all you just got to do is just go out and be cute and somebody going to offer to pay, especially when it comes to drinks. Now, we might not be able to get nothing else right off the bat, but drinks and food, yeah, that's
And that's
usually
all you
always the
really need on
guarantee.
the first few dates. Like, you just need a few drinks. We
Right.
were like, nobody's asking you to pay our rent. No, we're just trying to get a
Right.
few drinks, a few food, and a nice
Right.
conversation. I'm not asking you to move in yet, but I can
Right.
see where some people are still just getting used to that. Like, a man
Yeah,
being
because if a man is can't get no drinks and food, then
he
it
don't
ain't
know.
nothing else to talk about. That's literally the bare minimum.
Then we start grieving the living right there. Okay.
Right. That
So,
was good. I see what you did there.
so the title is incredibly powerful. What does grieving the living mean to you personally?
Grieving relationships that I never had, or grieving people who are still alive, but the relationship is dead.
Yeah. Okay. For you, what inspired you to write a book about this form of grief when people don't really often talk about it?
Having a series of events that caused me hurt, pain, and trauma, and not having the words to describe the pain. Because talking to people, they will usually give some type of advice, which is always pray, especially Black community is just always pray about it, put it in God's hands. But that's not enough. That's not enough. And it doesn't heal the heart as fast as I would like it to. So, yeah.
Mhm. So, was there any specific steps that you started looking into to help with the process of healing the heart for yourself?
Well, I've always dealt with depression pretty much my whole life. So I've tried several things, counseling being one of them, being on antidepressants, which is basically a happy pill that just helps you not feel things as deeply as you would if you weren't on the medicine. And so with um, counseling was interesting because I had a great counselor, but a lot of the times when I would tell her my stories, she would be crying. And she was just like, ugh, like that is so hard. And I feel so sorry for you. And that's so traumatic, this and that. And I was like, okay,
Help,
that really
yeah.
doesn't help me other than just feeling like, dang, my life sucks more than I thought it would. Cause my counselor even sad. So that kind
Yeah.
of like put me deeper into depression because I just felt like, well, damn, like my life really does suck. Like my life is cursed. And I felt all of those things because there were so many significant relationships that just didn't go the way they should. And it was kind of inexplainable. Like, why? What happened there? Like, it was a series of relationships that would go bad, and I wouldn't understand, like, why. I don't have a good relationship with my mom, and I couldn't understand that. The chapter called When Safety Isn't Safe, which is about me being molested when I was a child because my aunt had 6 boys and my mom always used her for childcare. And so whenever she would drop me off over there, I was getting molested. And I never could understand like why my mom never said anything or addressed it and made it public. And so that just caused me to grow up feeling like I had no voice. And even though I knew I had a voice, I just felt like people didn't care. And so I didn't realize until a year or two ago that the feeling that I had been carrying with me all that time, all those years, was grief. When you hear the word grief, most people think, oh, well, somebody's died. They're grieving.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about grieving the relationships that you never had and grieving people that are still alive, but y'all just act like each other doesn't exist. Grieve my mom and children. I've grieved a few significant relationships. So hard to really know if you're not in relationship with that person because you can not be in relationship with somebody and then you're just kind of numb to the feelings that was involved around the situation that happened with that person.
Can you be cordial with the same people
For
that
sure.
you are grieving? Can you be cordial with them and, you know, have conversations, say highs and byes, check in on them?
Yeah.
Can you be cordial?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The tricky thing about forgiveness for me is I had always felt like if you forgave somebody, that means that you give them the same access. So whenever I would talk to pastors and other people, I would ask them like, does it mean that I haven't forgiven them if I can't be in relationship with them the same way I was before the incident? And so, but I
Well, no.
realized that.
Yeah. So do you kind of feel like, and my apologies, are you saying like you feel like you're enabling their behavior in a way?
Yeah, I would tell myself like that's what that meant. Like, and that would cause me to hold on to a grudge because it was like, well, if I forgive them and if I handle them the same way that I've been handling them, they're not going to understand that what they did was wrong. And yeah, that I'm not one for that type of treatment. But then I realized that it doesn't, to be cordial with them, it doesn't mean, I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. Like, it
Look,
doesn't mean
yeah, it doesn't
that I,
mean, it does not mean that you don't have to set boundaries. That's what I'm
right.
thinking. You can always set boundaries. And because once someone has, if you have a line crossed, you have a line written out, and if somebody crossed that line, you have a boundary set now. It's like, oh no, I can still call you, but we're no longer talking about situations like this anymore. We
Right.
I don't no longer open these type of doors for you to critique, for you to go back and tell the next person. I learned my lesson when it comes to that, but I still love you. I still love to check out. I still hope, wish the best for you, but it's something you have to be at peace with as well to know, like, you know what? I gave that relationship a try on a deeper level, and it didn't turn out the way that I hoped it would. So I'm okay with just knowing we just have surface level conversations,
Right. And
sometimes.
that's what it is now. It's just very surface level, basic. Nothing really goes past the surface. And that
Mm-hmm.
sucks that especially when it's people like your mom or children or past lovers, whatever the case may be, it sucks to have so much to say and you still want closure and you still want resolve for things that bother you, but you can't get it. So you just have to like grieve it and let it go, basically.
Yeah. Be at peace with knowing that certain situations or certain behaviors you've outgrown. You
Yeah.
know, if someone is like acting like that, and you're like, yeah, I used to act like that when I was this age, or when I was acting like when I was in that position, but No, I've outgrown that. So my
Yeah.
boundary is until they outgrow that behavior, then we stop here. You know, for safety
Yeah.
purposes, for everybody. You know, so I think that's incredible for you
Definitely
to
healthier.
understand. Yeah, you to
Mhm.
understand that it's more healthy for you to just be okay with grieving the living, you know, walking away, outgrowing relationships, even when it's unfortunate for you. Like, dang, I really wish we could go here. Really wish sometimes we can talk about this. It's unfortunate, you know, not everybody is at that level, or, you know, some people are even still struggling to get to that level of mental peace, you know?
Yeah, and
So,
it's a lot of older generation, which I don't know how old you are, but you seem young. But older generation, like 50, 60, 70 up,
mhm.
they just they just they don't want to take accountability for anything. I guess because they just are set in their ways. But
Yep, I
they're
was gonna
the
say they're very
hardest
much set in their
to
ways.
yes, they're the hardest to establish a form of communication with because everything is their way. What they say is right. I'm the adult, or as my mom would say, she's like, "Well, I'm an elder. I'm an elder, and at this age, you don't worry about this and that." But it's like, okay, no matter how old you are, you still have to have a level of respect, and you should still be able to take accountability for whenever you're wrong and be able to make things right. They don't have the tools. They don't have the tools.
The tools, the patience, yeah, I think not everybody is willing to go back, be patient, understand what you're saying, process what you're saying, you know, give you effort for, okay, well, thanks for coming up with another solution, but this is why I feel this way. You know, proper communication, but especially if they grew up communicating a certain way, you know, if they already are accustomed to speaking a certain way.
Even with the older generation, their parents didn't have the tools either because their parents
Hmm.
didn't know how to communicate and handle things in a healthy manner. Now,
Yeah.
for like Gen Z and this modern society, everything is about mental health and counseling and, do this and do that to be better mentally. But back then, they weren't, they don't seem to be focused. They didn't seem to be focused on that and into getting the help that they needed mentally, especially when it came to raising kids. It was just kind of like
Yeah.
they just did whatever to get by, basically.
It's unfortunate that therapy and tools like that wasn't available back when they
Right.
were coming up. You know, it wasn't normal for groups of black people to just be sitting there being emotional, being vulnerable, talking about how they
Yeah.
feel, you
No,
know.
that's like
No. It,
taboo.
it was a very small group, and it was like, girl, you better not say nothing when you leave this room, you know. So it was very
Go in
small.
there and fix your face.
Yeah. So who can you really say that you wrote this book for? Was it for you?
For me, first and foremost, because it was my way of healing and giving myself the closure that I never got from the relationships that I was grieving. But it was also to the person that is in my shoes and is where I was and just hurting and not feeling like feeling like nobody understands what you're going through. Because a lot of parents who have issues with their kids or have broken relationship with their kids, they don't talk about it because one, you don't want to be judged as if you're a bad parent if you're not in relationship with your kids. Because a lot of people are usually like, well, if her kid don't want nothing to do with her, it's something that she did or she had to be a bad mom and whatever. But that's definitely not always the case. And the person that's grieving the relationship with their parents that they never had because their parent didn't know how to be a parent.
When you
So
say that, are you saying like, for you, speaking from experience, is there like times where it's like the communication isn't the greatest? So it's like I feel like I can't have a conversation with this person.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what causes the grief to have so much to say and to not be able to say it. and
Yeah.
have the person receive it and actually hear your heart without being defensive, shutting you down, saying you're lying, anything along those lines. Because it takes a emotionally mature person to be able to hear something that doesn't necessarily make them happy, but still be able to hear and communicate and navigate through it. And so many people that will have a great thing going in a relationship, whether it's friends, family, and then something goes wrong in a relationship and they're willing to throw the whole relationship away versus just simply apologizing and moving forward.
Personal note, I can relate. I've had a moment in my life where I didn't like what I was hearing from a partner's family member. And I was thinking like, okay, I'm happy in this relationship. Do I just throw it all away because I don't like their family? Like, and then I had to really think about what was being said. So I was like, let me put aside my feelings. Because I can do that. I can put aside my feelings for a moment to actually receive a message. So when I actually put aside my feelings, focus on the actual message of what they're saying, and I'm like, okay, they're giving me they're giving me information in a way that I don't normally like to receive it. Now, me, I was just like, well, I don't know why she's saying it like that and why you think I need to know this information. But it was just like, that was just their way of communicating, hey, you can say this, you can say X, Y, and Z in this form. This is how we talk. If we're just showing you how we talk, that's just how we talk, you know? So there's moments where I'm like, but then I'm like, being reasonable. If I'm being grown here, that's just, they're just communicating the best way they know how, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the hardest thing in situations is just trying to figure out what the message is and taking away our own personal feelings. You know, like, okay, focus on the message, not the messenger. You know,
Right.
and that's sometimes hard, is to be like, okay, I know you don't like me, but I could be telling you some valid points here. I think that anybody that's going through that journey, or that will come upon that journey eventually, would benefit from the book, Grieving the Living. That's their specific like life experience that sparked this journey for you.
All of it is life experience. The book is my personal testimony. It talks about how I grew up as a child, the relationship I have with my mom, the relationship that I have with my kids who I'm no longer in relationship with, and what brought the book about, like what was the last straw. And that was when I was involved in a church. I got involved in a relationship with a youth pastor that turned out to be a total narcissist, and he ended up ghosting me. And I just went through a lot of church trauma. And that was like the icing on the cake for me. Like, I'm done suffering in silence. I am fixing to tell these stories about these people that have caused me trauma, like parent hurt, loss of a child, church hurt. And yeah, pretty much all the chapters in my book are around those three stories, and healing and releasing all of those situations to be like, you know what? There's still a plan for me. My life still has purpose, and I can still overcome all of these situations. And if those relationships end up being restored, then great. But then if they don't, like, life still goes on, and I still have purpose, and I still have stuff to do out here.
Okay, when you say like child loss, what specifically sparked that issue?
What do you mean?
What series of events?
He went through a 10-year divorce. And so throughout that divorce, the kids was taken back and forth, pretty much whatever the judge decided or whoever outmoneyed who. But most of the time I was on the losing end because the other party had more money than me. And I dealt with a lot of racism because my kid's dad was white, I was black, and we were going through the system. So I was already looked at as unfit. which that came up, like literally came up a lot in the court case. I was unfit because I was in an apartment and he was in a house and just little things like that. So my kids grew up essentially in a broken home. They're kids caught in the middle, which are a chapter in the book, Children Caught in the Crossfire. And so as they began to grow up, their relationship there began to be a rift in their relationship. And so they chose a side. And the side wasn't mine, and the side could not be mine because I didn't provide the materialistic life that they could get over on this side or anything in between. But the end result was them leaving. So I had to grieve that relationship, even though they're here, like we're in the same city. So it's not like nothing is preventing us from seeing each other or being in a relationship with each other, but they made a choice. And so I have to respect that choice, but I have to grieve their relationship. And now, being where I am in my healing journey, I have to think about what happens when these kids who are now teenagers, 19 and 17, what happens whenever they do decide to come around? It's like, am I going to be at a place to where I can put all of that behind me and have a relationship with them and just love them, as a parent? Or am I going to be like, I'm good? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like these kids turned their back on me, the kids that I sacrificed everything for. You chose to act like I didn't exist. You had no respect for me, no happy Mother's Day, no happy birthday, no nothing. And so I just have to be at the right place mentally to be able to handle that. And so my prayer is, now that I've grieved them, because once you grieve a person, that's pretty much a shut door. Because if I've had to grieve you, our relationship isn't going to be the same. Because that means when I was in that whole grief process, there was nothing but opportunity for you to hear my heart, feel my pain, you know. But I've had for me to have had to grieve them. Yeah, that's a hard situation. Yeah.
It's going to take time, specifically hearing it from your perspective as a mother. I can tell it's going to take time for you to basically open yourself up and be that vulnerable again. And that's even with your own children.
Even with kids, there's still boundaries, because if I was to sit down with the counselor and to tell her that I was with a man that did all the things to me that my kids did, then what would the counselor say? You deserve better. You're a queen. You can find you somebody better.
Yeah. And you like, but
Well,
what
what
do I
about
do
when it's your family and your actual children?
Same rules apply in different forms.
The society that we're in makes it so hard to be a parent, because the kids just want to do what they want to do, and they're seeing so much on social media and hearing this music and all of these things, and they just
And the thing is, it's a different stance from when you have a parent here. I'm 28, and I lost my mom when I turned 21. So the moment I turned 21, she passed away, and trying to navigate, 8 years without her is difficult, because you really don't notice how much you're loved until you lose a parent. So it's one thing to, when we used to get into it and, we'll go a few weeks without talking. That's one thing. Even if we go a few years, it was moments when we went years without speaking or seeing each other. That's another thing. But when the moment her spirit, her flesh is no longer a presence that is available, it hits different. Dial that phone number that referenced mom, it hits different.
it would make sense for kids that go years without acknowledging a parent to go to the funeral.
If that's at the end of the day, y'all missed out on mama by going years without somebody. That's what they gotta look at. Like that's reality. Y'all missed out on mama. Just like
Well,
we
why
can
would a
say
person
mama.
want to go? I've never been to a funeral. Like I said, the
Mhm.
book is ironic because I've never experienced death.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not going to anybody's funeral that I wouldn't care to see when they were alive. That just
yeah.
makes no sense to me. But I
Everybody's
don't
different though,
know.
but you gotta keep in mind everybody ain't you. So everybody,
True. Yeah,
everybody
it
do
just doesn't
not.
make sense to me. Because if I
Everybody,
would go
yeah,
to your funeral, that means I want to see you while you're alive. Like that means like you matter to me, your presence matters to me. And so with that, I am going to be in relationship with you when you're alive. And so of course I'm going to see you for the last time I'll get to see you. Yeah, it makes sense for me to go cuz okay, this is
yeah.
like the last time.
And that's when grief comes in. Like you're talking about grieving the living. That's when that grief comes in for them when they're like they get there and it hits them that you know what, everything we was arguing about was stupid. All I
And
had
that's
to
why
do
I
was
wrote the
reach out.
book because I can do stuff like this and talk to people about it,
Hmm.
but this book will live beyond me. So if
Yeah.
in the case that I do die and my kids do decide to go to my funeral, they have this book that explains exactly how I felt and so they can actually hear my heart about how I felt about everything and where I was with it. So that was important to me, knowing that I do have two kids and a mom who I've had to grieve. So it's like at any point, if they just really care enough to know how I
Mhm.
feel, how I think, how I write, the book will be there, as well as my baby, which is who I dedicated the book to because I want her to know how to handle her relationships.
Okay. So specifically, writing about grief can be one emotional roller coaster. So what was the hardest part of writing this book for you?
Reliving the pain and the hurt of relationships. The church trauma that I wrote about in the book it makes me tear up every time I talk about it because it's just that traumatic.
When
Um,
you're passionate about your journey, so that's good.
yeah. Yeah, it was very painful. I cried a lot. I would
Hmm.
get mad all over again, thinking about how some people treated me and how they just disposed of me like I was nothing. That's hurtful.
You went through that traumatic church situation.
This was just 2 years ago,
Okay.
so it was fairly recent.
Hmm. So you still grieving that process.
Somewhat, I mean, I don't know, because writing the book, it was freeing for me to just tell my story and to get it out there. So if I am grieving, I'm definitely not grieving it in the same capacity as I was.
Yeah, because you
But
never
it's
know.
still hurtful. It's hurtful to get treated
Yeah.
less than in
Yeah.
general. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
like, why didn't you care enough to bring closure to this situation, to take accountability, to apologize? Whenever people do that, that's just hurtful because it just
Yeah.
seems like you don't matter enough for them to even care to do the right thing or
Hmm.
to fix the relationship. It's hurtful to give yourself to people and then not get anything back in return.
Sometimes I think our generation is just trying to balance respect and voice. So when my mom was here, I know I had a hard time trying to balance where I find my voice and where I respect her voice.
Right.
So how do I respect her
Yeah.
voice, and then how do I put
Get her
my
to hear mine.
yeah? So it's a balance of respect, and respect is that's not something you learn overnight. You
Mhm.
genuinely have to sit back, learn respect, learn what it means to respect somebody, learn why it's important to respect them, etc. Because the one thing they'll tell you is your parent will say, "You'll need me before I need you," and that'll be true.
My daughter wanted us to be on the same playing field. And it's like we're not on the
Mhm.
same playing field because I'm your parent and you're my child.
Yeah,
So that changes everything. And hierarchy is a hierarchy. Like I'm the head and you are the child. Like you gotta respect what I say.
that's the whole
Period.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, I can understand that being a frustration field for you. Did you learn anything surprising about yourself during the process?
Yes, I learned to realize who I was in Christ for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And like my resilience and just the things that are instilled in me. Because, like I said, I've always dealt with depression, feeling suicidal, like my life sucks, like I did all of this for nothing. Why am I even here? All of those things. But to write the book and to go through what it takes to even publish the book, it's like, dang, like I truly I'm an amazing woman of God. I like have purpose. I matter and I'm kind of that deal.
Mm.
So yeah, it made me look at myself different and stop being so hard on myself and thinking that I don't matter, I don't have purpose, and just talking down.
It was it was like
Getting through
birthing a
that
child.
book and that editing. Oh my
Hey,
gosh, it was super stressful.
so
Mhm.
typically something like that will take time, you know, and especially if
Mhm.
you are not trying to offend people, but you still want to get your message across. You still want to be heard. You still want to
Mhm.
be able to say, no, this is how I feel. I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, but this is coming from me, my
Mhm.
project. It's like, and it's kind of be like your own personal baby. You just birthed your own baby. You went through your journey with your baby. You had your editing process, and now your baby's out there blossoming. So, as much as you have different grief stories. I think you did a tremendous job by just keeping going and preparing for the unknown after you did
Yeah.
it.
And even like, I mean, my mom could read this book. She could be pissed. Like I said, I was molested by her sister's kids. So it's like these
Hmm.
people that are like, oh, girl, congratulations. It's like, I'm
You
telling
guys
my
might,
truth. Like,
yeah, you guys
I'm
might read the book
exposing.
now.
It's like truly putting all of myself out there. So it's very personal. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you able to tell any family members about any of the stories before you released it in the book? Like, were you able to sit down your a few family members and tell them about the pastor?
No, I don't have a close family in general, so it wouldn't come to that. But I did have conversation with my sister before I released the book to like let her hear about the section where I mentioned my mom. Like, hey, like, how do you think this sound? Do you think it sounds like I'm blaming? Like, should I change the words? Am I telling too much? We had that conversation. Anybody I told about it was like, tell it all. Like, that's your story. Tell it all. Don't sugarcoat it. Cause they was like, if you're going to sugarcoat it, it ain't no point in writing the book if you're not going to be all
Mhm.
the way 100.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anybody I asked was like, no, don't change the words. Keep it straight like that. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I know that if some people in my family like did read it, I think that some people would be upset just because I'm exposing the truth. Like I'm exposing that I was molested by
Mhm.
my aunt's kids, and because people, people are so defensive, especially older generation. So I think like if my mom was to read the book, I think that she would be extremely upset, and I think that she would be upset because instead of looking at it from the perspective of, well, this is healing for my child, like she's telling her truth and she's getting it off her chest, I think that she'll be defensive about me making her look bad. So I
Yeah.
think that she would look at it.
Yeah. People like to have like a polished presence, so it looks like
Right.
nothing's wrong with them. Then nothing's ever happened. My family's good. My family's perfect. I mean, we don't have all that going on. Whole time.
Especially if you're religious. And my mom's super
Oh
religious,
yes. Yeah.
got this, got that. And so that makes it even worse because that makes it even harder for people to take accountability without putting it on something else.
It's
And
hard for them to
so,
be realistic. Yeah, hard for them to be a lot more
right.
realistic. It's like, okay, no, let's be logical. It's hard. You think this type of grief is often so misunderstood or just overlooked?
I think that people associate grief with physical loss, more than emotional loss. I think it's because a lot of people don't want to come to grips with the reality that they've actually lost something significant, like the relationship, especially if it's mom, dad, kids, or lover. I think that a lot of people don't want to come to grips with that it's over. That relationship, that season is gone. And I think
Yeah.
that makes it hard. That's what was hard for me, just coming to grips that, okay, the relationship that I want is just not going to happen. And I have to just grieve this and move on. Because it's just like a knot in your stomach, wanting something and wanting people to change and wanting somebody to apologize and wanting somebody to be like, dang, I was wrong. I'm sorry. And so it just, it's not good.
My stepmom, she used to say, Cece, you always want. So I think that's happening in the process of grieving the living. You find yourself noticing that you want it. Like, okay, I
Mhm.
wanted this, I wanted this, I wanted that. So you got to be
And
at
that
peace.
tears you up. It
Yeah,
tears you up.
you got to
I
be
think
at peace.
that's what kept me in depression for so long. And then whenever I seen who he really was, that just tore me up so bad. And I was bleeding, having headaches, just trauma for real. Like I was going through it. And whenever I stopped going, I had actually went to the doctor, was going to have a whole hysterectomy because they was like, well, like menopause, have a hysterectomy, the bleeding, all this stuff will stop. So I'm
Mhm.
like getting the stuff together to get this procedure. And I stopped going to the church. The bleeding stopped, the headache stopped, all of that stopped.
Mm.
And so I was like, dang. That's when I realized like I was like grieving. Like what I was going through was like grief. It was causing me like to bleed and have headaches, and my body was physically reacting to all of the trauma.
A lot of lessons to be learned, but yeah, there is a lot of grief. There is a lot of unfortunate expectations that we put on people that they can't arise to.
Live up to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's unfortunate.
Goes back to a lot of people not having the tools
Tools. How was he? What was
to
he? Yeah, where was he? Where was his upbringing like? You can only hold up a facade for so long. So
right.
typically you come out,
Exactly.
you present yourself hopefully as the man that you want to be, you want to continue to grow to be. So after a while, the lady in the relationship starts to genuinely get to know you. So that means they get to see your flaws. They get to see things that you probably never exposed to anybody else. They get to see it firsthand. So then once you realize that she see the real me, my next goal is, do I want to stay being this person? Was I truly curious about being that gentleman that I present myself to be? I know when, of course, we know Rome wasn't built in a day, and that type of side of you won't just happen overnight. That's something you put in work, but you have conversations, you bring reassurance, you actually work
Right.
towards it. But
Mhm.
it's okay to grieve people who didn't take those steps, who
Yeah.
was not willing to take the proper steps and understand that Rome is not built in a day. And just because you present yourself as something, I believe that there's more to come. Okay,
Yeah.
there is more to come. That means I will see you in a light that you didn't expect me to see you in, and from there you got to figure out what you want to do. How do you want to present yourself in the next light? How hard do you want to work on yourself? Do you want to work on yourself with a partner, without a partner? Can you handle it? Because like I
Mhm.
stated, a lot of us, we won't. That's even our partners. They see things, they want it. But the thing is realizing, can we handle what we want? Because God can give you what you want, but can you handle it? Are you ready for it? You know what I'm saying? A lot of us don't stop and think about that. So Grieving the Process and Grieving the Living, I think is a spectacular book for anyone that's going through that process.
And I think
Yeah.
that makes it hard.
In order to really have trust, you have to be willing to play the battlefield. You got to be willing to get out there, but you
And go
also can have
through to
boundaries.
get to.
Get through, but that don't mean paint the red flag purple. You get what I mean? That means go out, have fun, talk to people, enjoy different presents. But if you see something that you're like, that is a no go for me, stick to your boundaries. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't hear somebody out and then they got 7 yeses, but that one no is would bash all those yeses. If that's what you're feeling, then stick to it. But if you know
Yeah.
they got 7 yeses and that one little no can be a little shed away because they got 7 yeses, go for the 7 yeses. Have fun. You have nothing to lose. You're not marrying anybody tomorrow. You get what I'm saying? You just getting out there. You just
Yeah.
getting your feet wet. And if it don't work, on to the next one. If you don't want to waste
And
time,
don't have sex.
there you
No
go.
sex.
If you don't want to waste
No
time,
sex.
don't waste time. If you don't want to have sex, don't have sex. If you don't want to
Yeah.
regret it, don't do it. If
That's
you don't,
definitely worth the waiting on for sure.
if they want
Because
to
these
find
men
somebody,
will
they can
say
find you.
anything and be whoever they need to be to get
Yeah,
that.
but then they don't know how to keep it. So that's the thing.
Mhm.
If you know what kind of cookie jar you carrying, you need to be like, hey, love that we can buy, but the moment I open myself up to you on that level, my expectations will kick in.
Yeah,
I will have expectations for certain things. So, and
for
if somebody
sure.
is not ready to step up to that plate, then they can sit on to the side, wait their turns,
Yes.
be children.
Men especially, no more access without them proving that they're worthy of that type of access.
Yeah,
For sure.
don't be available to everybody. Mm-mm.
Right. It was very helpful to me to quiet the noise, the like mental noise in my head. So to do that, I got off of social media. Even to write the book, I had to get off all social media, deactivated Facebook for a minute, stayed off the YouTube because I love to listen to like YouTube trending stories, Chronicle Speaks, stuff like that, to where I'm just like always taking in what's going on with other people's lives. And so to
Mhm.
shut down all of that noise, it's extremely uncomfortable because you have to just sit with yourself. And that's what a lot of us don't want to do, to just sit with ourselves, not pick up our phone, not turn on the TV, not listen to anybody else's business. That's extremely uncomfortable. I challenge anybody to do it for 7 days.
That internal, that's just that internal love. Is that what you're lacking when not and not just it means people, we lack that internal love. We lack just finding out what makes us upset, what makes us cry. That means
Yeah, I cried
sometimes,
a lot.
it's times
So much.
I
Like,
told you I've been in
clearly
that
I'm
phase.
emotional.
I've been in that phase, and for me, what helped me specifically was just looking in the mirror. So I will
That's
go.
hard too.
I would go look in the mirror so I can get used to the girl that I would see in the mirror. So I'm like, how do I start loving myself? Well, first off, I don't look at myself enough. Like I might see a mirror, take a few pictures, but like genuinely look at myself, stare at myself, cry even, watch myself cry, watch myself
Yeah,
laugh,
I did all of that
you
and I
know,
cried more than anything. And so I realized how mean I am to myself.
be more harsh on yourself than you even notice. That's why you're always crying,
Mhm. Right.
you
And
know.
so letting all of that go helped me to look at myself in a different light. Like these people may have took me and who I am for granted, but like I'm a dope person.
There you go.
So, and I deserve better. I deserve better treatment, all of those things. And so that was helpful to shut down the noise and to figure out like what I truly think about myself. And that also stems from why I allow myself to get in the type of relationships that I do. Because after I had that relationship with the youth pastor and I silenced all the noise, I was like, well, now I see why I would attract a relationship like that, because there's a lot of things that I'm lacking within myself. Like I may dress up and be cute on the outside and look confident and all of those things, but on the inside, I'm really not.
You're no longer under her roof.
Right.
So you can now start planting new
Stewarding
seeds.
myself.
There you go. Steward yourself. You can navigate how you want to look and feel on the inside and the outside. You can make them match. You can mirror each other. You feel good, now you look good. You look good, now you feel good. It can mirror each other. When it comes to grief, because I lost my mom at 21, grief is not something that you get over. It's something you got to get through.
Right.
So it's nothing that you'll will ever probably be done doing. It's a process, but it's different phases of it. You know,
Yeah.
at this phase, you're like, okay, now it's self-security, self-confidence. Now I want to be able to bring that out, take that from private to public. You've already vented on a book, you pinned it to the pen and paper, you ready to expose your truth. Pat yourself on the back for first things first, giving yourself the confidence to write the book. You know what I'm saying? Second is be able to get through those emotions that you were.
No, I would want anybody to just know that they matter no matter what life makes it seem like, what a person makes it seem like, what a person says, does, whatever. You matter. You still have purpose. Be careful how you treat people. It is so important to do people right, treat people right.
Question to you, Natasha. What does healing look like for you today?
Freedom mentally. Yes, no more feeling imprisoned in my mind. It looks like freedom mentally.
Yeah.
So letting go is freedom to be happy and to allow myself to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's good that you've arrived to that moment for yourself. You've gotten to this phase where it's just like, I can think freely, I can speak freely. I'm not gonna let things cloud my brain like they used to.
I'm not suppressing my voice and I'm not shrinking.
Yeah.
So, and it's empowering to not shrink.
Yes.
And be like, no, this is what happened. This is how I felt. And I'm finna tell my story. I don't care who like it, who's mad about it, who, whatever. I'm doing this because this is what I want to do.
With a face like that, like yours, that is bold, beautiful, you shine.
Oh, thank you.
You are not shy. It does not show that I'm ready to hide my voice. Everything your presence presents.
This letter marks the end of what no longer belongs to me. I've told my story respectfully and I'm healing responsibly with intention. My pain has been named and now I put it to rest. I release the offenses. I release the people who caused them, whether intentionally or through neglect. I release the need for explanations, apologies, or understanding that may never come. What happened has been acknowledged and it doesn't get to follow me forward. I choose to let go of what was heavy so that I can receive what's light and what's meant for me. I acknowledge the relationships that went astray. I no longer carry them with resentment, shaming, or longing. They are part of my story, not the definition of my future. I forgive.
If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment and sit with it. When you're ready, check out Grieving the Living by Tasha Nicholson. The links will be in the description below. If you want to hear more conversations like this, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite part was. Let us know your favorite line from the book.